Saturday afternoon. Henry Vessar and Johann Grunloh. A couple of players from Europe, first years in their program, will jump it up. Vessar gets in there, but Grunloh wins the tip for the Virginia Cavaliers. UVA team that is almost entirely new from last year. Same you could say about UNC. Their leading scorer, Tess DeRitter, immediately turns it over. And as we look at the North Carolina starting five, it is the same as it was Wednesday, which includes the Virginia Tech transfer, Jaden Young, making his second start of the week and season, and the freshman Derek Dixon in his third consecutive start.
And Virginia on the first possession off defensively decided not to trap Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson has been trapped the majority of his catches on the block. Hubert Davis going to him early, but Virginia electing not to trap, even still coming up with a turnover.
Virginia's had the same starting five every game but one this year. Hall and Thomas, the guard. Malik Thomas has been scoring it at a very high rate, along with Lewis, DeRitter, and Grunloh. Ryan Odom, first-year coach for UVA, has his team right at the top of the league. With Duke and Clemson, the clear top three in the ACC so far. Malik Thomas with the first shot of the game, and the rebound to the former Hokie, Jaden Young. It's a North Carolina team that's really good at just about everything offensively, as Young misses at three, rebounded by Trimble. His stick back will go. Seth Trimble, the only player who was in this game last year, is still on one of these two rosters with the opening bucket, and then Wilson's rejection right to DeRitter for the first UVA two.
Great job by DeRitter cleaning up the action. That's where Virginia's at its best. They're one of the top teams in the country, while averaging over 14.2 offensive rebounds per game.
UNC turns it over for a second time with Vessar.
And Vessar just unable to handle the basketball in that possession. A great pass from Young. Vessar thinking more about the basket than he was catching the basketball first, taking his eyes off the prize.
Where do you expect, Corey, UVA to try to exploit Carolina defensively?
Well, you got to think about throwing the basketball on the inside, allowing Caleb Wilson to go to work. And right now, it looks as though they're going to try to play him one-on-one in the post, which no one has been able to do yet this season.
Sam Lewis's shot rolls off. Wilson tries to track down the rebound, and he was out of bounds when he had the ball to turn it back over to Virginia. That's already the third Tar Heel turnover.
And the Tar Heels only turned it over 8 times against Notre Dame their last game out, so it hasn't been the offensive start that Hubert Davis was looking for.
Here's Dallin Hall. Grunloh, who can shoot that, will shoot it. And we'll miss a three, rebounded by Trimble.
That's going to be what many people consider the worst shot in basketball. Foot on the line, a long two that comes up empty.
North Carolina coming off a 91-69 bludgeoning of Notre Dame Wednesday. Vessar too strong against one of the best shot blockers in the nation in Grunloh. Here's DeRitter. Good for three.
And that's an area where Virginia may be able to exploit. Oftentimes, Caleb Wilson runs back into the painted area defensively. With DeRitter, with Grunloh at the top of the key, both are capable three-point shooters. And as you watch, as Caleb Wilson runs back, transition on defense, he's in the painted area, has to close out to DeRitter, but too late, giving DeRitter way too much time beyond the arc.
And that is exactly in line with what Ryan Odom told us before the game. He said they're going to look at finding some actions with Caleb Wilson defensively, try to get some open looks, and they get one early. UVA, the second best three-point shooting team in the league, 37% on the year. Here's Vessar, an excellent three-point shooter, will be fouled. By 2, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and a steal in 30 minutes against Notre Dame, which is pretty much a typical Caleb Wilson stat line.
He was slacking. He averages over 10 rebounds per game. That should have been his 12th double-double of the season. He was slacking on the glass.
Fair point. The 5 assists helped make up for it, and he had a couple of hockey assists in there, too.
But those assists were coming because he was being double-teamed every time he caught the basketball on the block. Right now, Virginia playing straight up and has benefited them with Zayden Hott.
Early minutes for High as Malik Thomas got fouled in transition after the game Wednesday. I'm seeing that early from the first-year player. Hall driving. Nice finish. Dallin Hall, the BYU transfer.
The great recognition by Dallin Hall, recognizing that he has a big guarding him on the perimeter, is able to go off the bounce with a clear side to get an easy bucket.
Right now, Wilson's calling for it. He had to switch against Hall. So now Hall guarding the big. Wilson, jumper is too deep over the graduate student. Here's Thomas. Hall with the offensive rebound, Virginia's 5th.
Hall, a very good rebounding guard, had 12 rebounds versus Louisville last week. And now gets Virginia another possession. And oftentimes when you get that extra possession, that's the best time to shoot the three. It wasn't on the immediate kick out, but it still counts as 3 second chance points for Grunloh.
7 straight for Virginia after North Carolina had rallied to tie it. Here's Bogovats off of Wilson's screen, and he buries his second triple.
Bogovats, who was 2 of 9 against Notre Dame on Wednesday, already knocking down his first 2 3-point field goal attempts of the game. Feeling good about his game on the road.
Mallory, Grunloh again, way off the mark. Rebound to Jonathan Powell. 21-17, the Virginia lead. Both teams shooting it well early. Wilson trying to power his way in, gets held up by DeRitter, throws up a wild shot. It's Malik Thomas down with his 3rd rebound.
And Virginia has numbers. Caleb Wilson is gassed. They didn't recognize Chance Mallory open on the opposite side.
Mallory now a contested 3. Who needs to be open? Virginia is.
And Stanford, who went for 36 against the Tar Heels. So point guards have had their way as Chance Mallory knocked down a 3 on the last possession. He and Dallin Hall have a great opportunity to have a big offensive night.
Virginia's doing what they've done most of the year, hit threes, offensive rebound. They lead by 7. Vessar could not connect to the rim. Sam Lewis has the rebound for UVA, which is +9 on the glass. 4 different players with a 3 for Virginia. DeRitter's one of them. And DeRitter will get the lead. Charles Bediako back for Alabama, and the never-ending eligibility saga of college basketball in 2026. 8:30 Eastern tonight.
Well, you've got 3 players actually in this game that play professional basketball in Europe. So when you consider Bogovats, who has the basketball now, DeRitter and Grunloh have all played professional basketball. For those who have exception to those who played in the G League playing, have exception to guys who played in Europe playing college basketball.
And that has been the argument from folks like Nate Oates as DeRitter gets bumped. He opened his recruitment after Tony Bennett retired before last year, but recommitted to Ryan Odom. And boy, where would they be without Chance Mallory? Wilson, a tough jumper for Caleb Wilson, who's leading the way with 8 for UNC.
And Caleb Wilson, once again, an opportunity to play one-on-one at the top of the key, but Virginia will live with those 2s from Caleb Wilson as long as he's unable to spray it out for his teammates for 3.
In the corner, Tillis, way off the mark. Here comes Caleb in transition, got around Jakari White, runs into Hall, puts the shot up, almost got it,
and knocks down the first free throw.
Wilson or Bogovats have scored the last 14 for UNC, and Powell's got the offensive rebound off the miss.
And Wilson trying to direct traffic from the post, pointing to get the basketball to him on the block so he can make a play.
He found Vessar out of the double, though he has started to take over the game, Caleb Wilson.
But that was the first double team on the post with this game for Caleb Wilson. So Ryan Odom switching up his coverages when Wilson catches the basketball.
Lewis cannot answer. Dallin Hall's got the offensive rebound.
Second offensive board for Dallin Hall, where all the guards are able to crash on the offensive end, which is unconventional.
Hall got Wilson in the air, knocked around, back to Tillis. Hall wanted it in the corner. He gets it in the corner, and he missed it in the corner. And look at Jakari Whitey outmuscles Trimble. Tillis will take a three. Boy, did Virginia deserve that.
3 opportunities end up with 3 points, 3 second chance points. Virginia just with the effort on the glass, outworking the Tar Heels.
Dixon off the screen. Unable to answer. Powell fighting hard, and Lewis tracks down the loose ball. Tillis. White. Air ball. Caleb gets undercut and fouled.
Of the 1-1, where free throws has been a struggle for Wilson and the Tar Heels, especially since they got to ACC play.
Running off the miss, here's Thomas. Wilson's got 10. Bogavats has 8. The rest of the Tar Heels can combine for 9.
And right now, Wilson just trying to find a way to get to the post with Chance Mallory guarding him.
Whips it into the corner, kicks out to Evans. He missed a good look for 3, and Hall has the defensive rebound.
But what a difference from what we saw from North Carolina on Wednesday night, which seemed to be everyone was making a 3. Wilson with great hands, knocking the basketball away from Mallory. Bots knocking down 2 of those 3.
Virginia playing with Hall and Mallory. They like this 2-point guard look at times during the game.
I talked with Dallin Hall about this. He said, I like an opportunity to get off of the basketball. But both these guys are playmakers, number 1 and 2 respectively in the ACC in assist to turnover ratio.
DeRitter grabs his own miss, puts it in high off the window. 13 protects DeRitter.
And 14 second chance points for Virginia as they continue to dominate the offensive glass, which is something that we've watched North Carolina do for decades. And right now, the Cavaliers giving the Tar Heels a taste of their old medicine.
Hall defended Trimble well. Thomas bangs it home right in the face of Bogavats for Virginia's 6-3. A bucket that gives Malik Thomas 1,401 career points between San Francisco and Virginia and USC his first couple of years. He's coming off 23 and a career high 11 rebounds and a really good road win at SMU Saturday.
And although Testa Ritter's the leading scorer on the season for Virginia in ACC play, has been Malik Thomas, who has been their guy on the offensive end, averaging close to 19 a game.
DeRitter ducks in and draws the
able to seal Vessar really 2 feet away from his teammate.
Grunloh misses the first. Tonight on ABC 5:30 Eastern, NBA Rivals Week continues with the Warriors and the Wolves, followed by the Lakers and Mavericks at 8:30 Eastern. It's all on ABC and the ESPN app. Inside the NBA pregame show before the big night game starts it off at 8.
All eyes on the Warriors now and see what happens at the trade deadline with Jimmy Butler tearing his ACL, will miss the remainder of this season. Now does Jonathan Kuminga eventually get traded for some help for the Warriors?
What do you think?
If I'm the Warriors, I believe that Kuminga is really truly the only piece that you have to be able to move to bring someone else in.
Wilson off the back of the rim. Somebody's going to grab the ball at some point. It will be Dixon, who will lob it to Trimble. And defensive rebound. So we'll see if the Tar Heels can tilt the scales a little bit in their favor on the boards. They'll start on defense in the second half, down 9. And Malik Thomas unable to make it 12. He's just 1 for 7.
At that time, Jaden Young clearing the defensive rebound, and oftentimes it's been those long rebounds that the guards for Virginia have gone in and come up with offensive opportunities.
Caleb Wilson with 10 in that first half. He and Bogavats both in double figures. Wilson too deep, and an uncontested rebound for Grunloh. Testa Ritter leads Virginia with 13. Sam Lewis had a big first half. He's got 7. 3.
And is the 9 points in favor of Virginia, the absolute same as the halftime lead for Virginia going into the locker room.
2 points for Lewis, who's got 9. had been scoring pretty well of late until last Saturday at SMU. He's picked his offense back up. What do you like to see from Carolina offensively to start this half?
Well, let's see how they're going to guard Caleb Wilson when he catches the basketball on the block. No double team, however, where the double team comes late. Nice disguise by Grunloh, which forces Wilson to get rid of the basketball. And right now, North Carolina looking discombobulated on the offensive end until Seth Trimble bails them out with the 3 ball.
It's all fun and discombobulation until the ball hits the bottom of the net. Trimble hits his first 3 of the game, leads down to 8. Grunloh got position on Vessar, finishes over Vessar, and Grunloh has 6.
Second time we've seen Hall and Grunloh connect on those tight spaces, but still Grunloh able to seal Vessar and finish over the top.
Wilson again, this time against DeRitter. Lewis is lingering. Wilson to Young, back for Vessar. Carolina along the perimeter. The freshman Derek Dixon into the corner. Trimble, same spot and same result.
Back-to-back 3s by Trimble as he's starting to feel a little more confident in his shot and his offensive game as he's returned now for close to a month from the broken forearm.
A lead down to 7. Here's Hall. Offensive rebound. DeRitter, no. Offensive rebound again. Grunloh smothered by Vessar. It stays with Virginia, and DeRitter on the 4th shot of the possession. Have we said that before? Scores it.
And again, you're talking about 2 elite rebounders, and Wilson and Vessar being dominated by DeRitter and Grunloh on the glass.
Dixon, 1-foot shot for Derek Dixon will go.
And Derek Dixon telling his teammates to box out, pointing out Vessar and Wilson.
Young with a strip and steal. Ahead to Dixon against Hall. Dixon, Wilson, slam! And here comes Carolina within 5.
The Virginia native, Derek Dixon from Vienna, is right in Northern Virginia, making plays on the last 2.
Is 8 today. How good can he be the next couple of months? Where can he grow to lead this Carolina team?
Well, I believe he could be the future of this program, and I would hope that he's not a guy that's going to be putting his name in the draft this year, so he can be the point guard for this team moving forward. And again, he's not the prototypical speedster that Carolina normally has at the point guard position. We've got great positional size and tremendous skill.
Powell for the tie. Too short, and Tillis will track it down. Jakari White up the floor. All 9 Virginia players have scored now with White, who steps back into a 3. A very difficult shot. Powell secures the rebound. Dixon again, eyes up, finds Stevenson. Derek Dixon with his 5th assist and Jaron Stevenson's first basket.
Advancing on the pass. The pass moves much faster than the dribble does. Derek Dixon taking advantage, looking ahead, keeping his head up, and finding his teammates running the floor.
Hall slithers into the lane, too long. Grunloh kicks it to Mallory. A brick is grabbed by Powell. Hubert Davis calls out a play. Powell retrieves it from Dixon. They go to work with Stevenson against Hall. A size mismatch. Hall holds his ground.
Well, Hall is as strong as it gets, being able to get a low base.
Vessar. Stevenson slams North Carolina into its first lead since the first basket.
Another defensive miscommunication. 2 players on the ball, leaving Stevenson wide open for the easy slam.
59-58. What a rally by North Carolina, which was down 16 with 2:05 to go in the first. Grunloh again seals off Vessar. This time he missed it. Dixon again, he has a big man running the floor, and Steve
on their shots and get out in transition, beating their bigs down the floor oftentimes for early layups, which has allowed them to build a 3-point lead.
8 fast break points already in the half, 15 in the game for UNC. Against a Virginia team that's one of the best defensive teams in the nation. Dallin Hall with an offhand answer. Good all-around game for Hall, who's got 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists.
And Dallin Hall's been able to find his way to the rim as Derek Dixon continues to find his way to the rim, beyond the three-point arc, with dropping dimes, whatever it has been, he's been able to have success here in the second half.
Double-figure game for Dixon. Third straight game he's done that. Sam Lewis gets in the paint and scores it. 63-62. And the Virginia students starting to make a little more noise. Trimble floats it home. He's got 13. Back to a three-point Carolina lead.
But give Hubert Davis credit for his adjustments. Right now, by putting the side ball screen, it takes away the help as Grunloh is off the mark.
Just a level of activity from Seth Trimble. It's not surprising, but was necessary for North Carolina with their slow start.
Especially on the road is where you expect for your seniors, your leaders, to step up and make plays for you when you need it most.
And there's a turnover. Stevenson had a good closeout on Lewis, and Sam Lewis stepped on the out-of-bounds line.
You've heard me say it so many times before. It's the most common turnover in the game of basketball when you consider there's not a lot of space for guys who more often than not have pretty big shoes. So therefore, there is no retreating. Every step has to be taken forward. Anything backwards is going to be a turnover.
We're midway through this second half. Derek Dixon has played the first 10 minutes of the half. He's navigated the team brilliantly. Vessar into Stevenson. Again has the size mismatch with Hall, doing his best to body him, and Stevenson just sticks a turnaround in his face.
Stevenson, very similar to Derek Dixon, were heavily recruited by Virginia coming out of high school. Both had great relationships with former associate head coach Jason Williford, and Virginia was a target for both these two guys, and now they're here on this floor making a difference against the Hoos today.
Lewis, 5 to shoot it. Trimble got his hands up. Thomas drives it into Vest. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and now Mike McCarthy steps in.
I can't believe my guy Zubin did me that way.
74-72. 1 for 2 for DeRidder. Virginia in the lead. Fabulous game here to kick off a great Saturday of college hoops. Here's Caleb Wilson, a game-high 18 for Carolina. 5 double-figure scores. Stevenson's one of them, and he misses a 3. For Virginia, Lewis is back on the floor along with Grunloh, with Hall, DeRidder, and Thomas.
Hall has had a productive day on both ends of the floor, doing the job defensively as well as attacking offensively, running the show. He's the unsung hero of this team.
Had a big block in the closing seconds against Boopie Miller Saturday.
Oh, that's going to be a backcourt.
Oh, it should have been. It is.
It is. Okay, Roger Ayers right there on top of it. Hubert Davis also right there on top of it. I believe Ayers originally thought someone tipped the basketball, but there was no North Carolina hand on that one.
10th turnover against Virginia. 3 minutes to play. Still no Vessar, out of the game with 4 fouls. It's Wilson, Stevenson, Trimble, Bogovats, and Dixon. Here's Bogovats off a screen. Gives it to Stevenson. He's been the man in the second half, and he scores to tie the game. 11 turnovers for UVA, only 4 for UNC. Dixon with a kickback. Stevenson, yes, sir!
Great action, great design by Hubert Davis, knowing that Caleb Wilson will attract so much attention, allowing Jaron Stevenson to knock down another 3.
Jaron Stevenson with the second half of his life, and Thomas with a much-needed reclassified, committed to Alabama after Carolina had been on him for 2 years. Went to Alabama for a couple of years. Went into the portal, and he told the Daily Tar Heel, they impressed me when I was a freshman, so coming back, I felt was the right choice. Back at the school where his mom was a star. And his Tar Heels lead by 4, closing in on the final minutes of play. Dixon into the paint. Dixon with a tough shot off balance, easily blocked by Grunloh. Here's Dallin Hall for UVA. 4-point game. Hall driving. Hall scores it. Right around Bogovats to cut the lead to 2. Caleb Wilson will walk it up the floor for North Carolina. And Hubert Davis uses his second timeout. Game with Bogovats, Dixon, and the inbounder Seth Trimble, who gets it to the freshman Derek Dixon. Dixon guarded tightly by Dallin Hall. Over to Caleb Wilson. Wilson, long steps, off the backboard and good. Caleb Wilson with an...
But coming on the road and playing the way that they played here in Charlottesville, win or loss, has to give them some confidence moving forward on the road in ACC play.
Plenty of time to go here. Mallory, Thomas in the corner. Got a late closeout by Stevenson. He draws the foul against him. An 11-point game for the true freshman. 32 minutes, only one turnover. Dixon way short. Wilson has the offensive rebound. And Mallory will foul Trimble.
And that's the reason Grunloh was sub.